Hello, world, and welcome to the Quick Kick Picks presented by Bros Talking Soccer. My name is Dave Kindle here with my brother, Christian. Christian, hello.
Hello, David.
There's Christian. It is MLS Match Week 9. We have a full slate of matches, no Friday matches, tons of Saturday and Sunday matches. We got a full slate. Let's jump right into things. First up, we have New York City FC taking on Orlando City, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, April 27th. Christian, what's going to happen here?
I think this is a battle of two mid-table teams in the East, and that's kind of what it's going to look like. It's not going to have a lot of flair, not a lot of pizzazz, but it's going to be a pretty close encounter. I expect it to be a one-goal game. Don't expect anyone to blow anyone out. And just because it's in New York and they have that weird field that no one knows how to play at, I'm going to give them the slight advantage and say New York gets the 2-1 victory in this match.
I'm in agreement with you on the tight victory. I'm going to say it just ends 1-0, though. NYCFC, they're on a bit of a run at this point. They're unbeaten in 2 straight wins and 2 clean sheets as well. No coincidence that win streak comes along with Bear getting in at center forward and is playing much better. I think they were missing that center forward play early on in the season. Now, Orlando beat Vancouver at home last weekend. Nani is continuing to score. That's encouraging from Orlando. It's also encouraging that they got a clean sheet. But at the end of the day, I'm in agreement with you. New York City FC's home field advantage combined with, I think they're a little bit more talented than Orlando City and definitely have the better goalkeeper. That's why it ends 1-0. Anything else you want to add, Christian?
Nope.
Let's keep it going. Toronto FC is taking on Portland Timbers at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. Christian, what's going to happen here?
So Portland look like they're rebounding a little bit, but still not enough to challenge Toronto in Toronto. I know Josie's not going to be playing in this match, obviously, as everyone should know at this point. But he is out of this match. Pozuelo is just too good, though. He's able to find those cracks in any defense that he comes up against. I think that continues to happen. Toronto does get the win, but without Josie, it's not as straightforward in the striker play, and it is going to end probably maybe 2-0, I guess.
All right, interesting. So I have Portland getting on the board here because I still just don't trust that Toronto defense. TFC, they got a dramatic 4-3 win against Minnesota last weekend, but they've given up 8 goals in their last 3 matches. That's a concerning sign for me if I'm a Toronto fan. Josie injury is going to be an impact as well. Jordan Hamilton, he did come in and he scored 2 goals. I know they were playing together last week, but him at center forward, if he can fill in for Josie, I think that'll be great for Toronto. And Pozuelo, he's fantastic. So I think Toronto FC should feel good about going forward. Now, on the Portland side of things, they finally got a victory. They on the road last week. Of course, they're on the road what seems like for the entire first half of the season. That was great for them. Ibobise getting on the score sheet is big, and so it was good to see him get on there. But they still have 5 more road games. It's just a grind, and I can't see them getting a win in Toronto. I think it's an entertaining match, but it ultimately ends 3-2 to Toronto. Lots of goals here. Christian, anything else you want to add?
I just don't see them any goals coming through in this match from the Portland Timbers right now. I know that this defense is leaky, but Portland have given me no reason to believe that they're going to score a lot of goals against arguably the best team in the East, if not second or third.
Yeah, well, I mean, they scored 3 against Columbus, who is the best defensive team in the East, arguably with DC. So for that reason, combined with Toronto not being that talented defensively, is why I have them getting the 3 goals. But ultimately, we'll see what happens here. Next match we're talking about, FC Dallas is taking on the San Jose Earthquakes, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, April 27th. Christian, what's going to happen here?
So I can only see Dallas winning this game in Texas. It's going to be pretty straightforward, in my opinion. I'm guessing a 3-0 victory here. Barrios, I expect to be the key to breaking down the Earthquakes, but I feel like anyone at this point can break down the Earthquakes defense. So even though the past couple of weeks San Jose has improved and they actually they destroyed, was it SKC?
Yep, 4-1 on the weekend. They got a 2-2 draw midweek against Seattle.
And that's a huge, those are huge teams that they're playing against, but it's just going to start to wear and tear on their legs. Dallas are a deeper team. They are a more talented team, and they will find a way to get through this game in convincing fashion.
All right, there you go. FC Dallas got a 2-1 road victory in Atlanta. Atlanta, they still have some worrying things happening there, and they played like a 5-3-2, 3-5-2 formation. I'd like to see that tactical flexibility from FC Dallas, especially with a young side. That's encouraging to see. Now, San Jose, we already talked about, they're starting to come to life after they did not have a good start, and we rightfully were beaten down on them in prior videos. Bobby Warshaw on the Extra Time podcast brought up a really interesting point. He said teams that just played their normal style when going up against San Jose's weird sort of defensive man-marking system were able to get through and punish San Jose, but teams that tried to alter their style ultimately weren't successful. And teams that tried to take advantage of, what are we talking about, San Jose, their weird sort of system, they weren't exactly as effective. And so from that perspective, I think FC Dallas tries to play their normal system. They don't overthink things, and especially at home, I think FC Dallas gets the win. Christian, fun fact for you, FC Dallas, they've been involved in 3 straight 2-1 matches. I'm a big trend guy, you know that. And for that reason, FC Dallas continues with a 2-1 home victory in this one. Anything else you want to add?
Is that why you're wearing the black suit? You're trying to trend with the other managers in world football?
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense, but sure. Next match we're talking about is Vancouver Whitecaps taking on the Philadelphia Union, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's going to happen here?
So I'm expecting the Union to struggle in this game just because of the injuries and absentees they're going to have. They're going to be without their left back, Kai Wagner, and they're going to be without Fabian as well. They're still going to be without Andre Blake, who's injured in goal. It's going to be too much rotation for the Union to really showcase their talent against a pretty average Whitecaps team. I think it's still going to be very close, but the Whitecaps probably edge this one out in maybe a 2-1 victory. And it's going to be close, but I just think with the injuries and the people who are missing for the Union this week on the road, they just don't have enough.
I'm in agreement that it's going to be close, and I think it ultimately ends up as a 1-1 draw. I think Philadelphia finds a way to grind out a victory. Now, Vancouver, they're the second lowest scoring team on a per-game basis in MLS. Shout out the Revs, lowest scoring team. Again, they were shut out last weekend. Vancouver seems to be committed defensively, but just from an attacking perspective, things are not going well for them under Marc Dos Santos. Now, the Union had a comfortable 3-0 home victory. We were there, Christian. We saw it live in person. Wagner, he's going to be suspended. You already touched on that, and he's been somewhat of a revelation. This is going to be the first time we're going to see them without him at left back. I'm concerned about who's going to fill in there. Are they going to move Ray Gaddis over from right back? Is Matthew Real going to come in and play left back? That's a big decision for them. Also, are they going to play with 1 forward, 2 forwards? Is Fabian going to be back? I know he's been hurt. I'm not certain if he's officially been ruled out here yet, but it's going to be interesting. A lot of lineup decisions, but I still think the Union are more talented, a little bit deeper. But the fact that they're cross-country travel, have a couple of injuries, that's why this ends up 1-1. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, you said it's going to end 1-1, and then you said they're going to grind out the victory. So just
grind out a result is what I meant to say. Not victory. Okay. Grind out a result. So 1-1 points, which would be, in a way, a victory for the Union in that. That's what I meant, really.
Okay. It all comes full circle.
There you go. All right. Next match we're talking about is Atlanta United hosting the Colorado Rapids, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Both teams bottom of their respective conferences. A little bit shocking, but Christian, what's going to happen here?
They might be bottom, but one is significantly worse than the other, and I am predicting this game to be absolute shambles for Colorado. I think this has Atlanta win written all over it. In Atlanta, I want to go bold here and say this is going to be a 5-0 Atlanta win. I know they haven't looked good, but this Colorado team is just does not have it.
Atlanta is averaging less than a goal per game. So I think that is a very bold prediction. They have the talent, but
Dave, let me be bold.
Okay.
Martinez has at least a hat trick in this game.
Christian, I want to see you be brave.
Honestly.
All right. Pity Martinez, he didn't start last week. I thought that was a really interesting decision. I don't know if it was he picked up a knock or if that was tactical. That's something to keep an eye on throughout the season. Martinez getting on the score sheet with a late penalty, that'll get his confidence going. I think it'll spur him on. Christian, I'm in agreement with you. It's a large multi-goal victory for Atlanta, 3-1 at least. If it's not, I think that's going to be a huge issue from an Atlanta perspective, and alarm bells should be ringing. Now, Colorado, they're the worst team in the league. No wins, 5 straight losses. They conceded an average of 3.4 goals per game over their last 5 losses. That's not great. If there's any positive, they can get on the score sheet, and they've only been shut out once this season. So for that reason, I think they get a goal against Atlanta, but I just can't see them getting any points out of this. And if Atlanta, it is not a multi-goal victory, alarm bells should be ringing. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Next match, we have the New York Red Bulls taking on FC Cincinnati, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. Christian, what's going to happen here?
So another one that looks like win is written all over it for the home team, but bold here. The Red Bulls just look like a travesty of a team. And honestly, they just can't figure out what they're doing at the moment. I don't know what's going on with the team. They have too much talent to be where they are in the table right now. But I still think that they're going to struggle again. And FC Cincinnati, for not being one of the elite teams in MLS and probably not even close to.
Not close. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, fine. They still are going to give the Red Bulls trouble just because of the form that the Red Bulls are in. They're low on confidence. They're not creating as many chances as you expect a team of that caliber to create. They haven't had that defensive stability, which we've seen over the years with the Red Bulls. And I'm predicting a 1-1 draw in this match.
I'm in agreement with you. Brothers thinking similarly. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Something's very wrong with the Red Bulls right now. They're winless in 5. Only win of the season came against San Jose before they had their system figured out, and they were just struggling. Leading scorers on the team right now are Alex Muyl and Daniel Royer, each with 2 goals. That's not great. BWP needs to get on the score sheet, or I believe Brian White is the backup forward. They need to get him in, and somebody needs to start scoring for the Red Bulls. They are still not conceding a lot of goals, but they're the worst team in the Eastern Conference on a point-per-game basis. That's a worrying sign if I'm a Red Bulls fan. Now, I'm saying worrying a lot this video, and I'm realizing that right now. FC Cincinnati, they had a great start to the season, but it's kind of come to a grinding halt. Since the road win over the Revs a month ago, they've only scored 1 goal in 4 matches. Again, worrying. Fernando Adi is back at this point. He's a big body, and specifically for them on set pieces, I think they were very effective at getting goals through set pieces earlier in the season. They need to get back to that. And also, he may be able to unlock their counter-attacking play, which I think has struggled a little bit with him being out of the lineup. So ultimately, I think this ends up as a 1-1 draw. Christian, anything else you want to add?
I'd be very worried if I was the worst in anything. So, yes, they should be worried. Everybody should be worried in this game.
All right, agreed. Next match, we have Houston Dynamo taking on the Columbus Crew, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's happening here?
This one is very different than the last few matches we've talked about. These are 2 teams that are in form in their respective divisions and conferences, not divisions. Sorry.
That works.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think both teams they're both in the playoff positions right now, I believe. They're both in the top 4 still, I believe.
I'm not sure. Columbus may have dropped down a little bit, and they're in the playoff.
Within touching distance of being in the upper echelons of the conferences. And stop booping me. Yeah, I just think Houston have enough in this match at home to grind out the win, but it is going to be very tough. Columbus are one of the best defensive teams in the league, barring 2 matches that I can think of where they just looked a mess. All the other games, they haven't conceded more than 1 goal a game, I believe, in 8 of their games so far, or 7 of their games. And that it's just going to be tough. 2-1 victory, I think, for the Dynamo, and it's going to be a hotly contested match. Hot because it's in Texas.
All right, there you go. Houston had their first real test of the season last week against the LA Galaxy. They ultimately lost that thanks to some pretty poor defending on set pieces from AJ De La Garza. But beyond that, they're averaging 2.2 goals per game, which is 3rd best in MLS. Their attack is really strong. Now, after a strong start, Columbus has lost 3 straight, and they're really struggling to score goals. They have a 0.9 goals per game average in the throughout the season so far. Not great. Defense, it still remains good, and I think Zach Steffen plays a huge role in that, but they lost both of their starting fullbacks to injury, and Harrison Affel will come back this season, but I think that's really impacting them both defensively and offensively, and that's a concern. And so for that reason, I think Albert Elise can attack that area, and Houston ultimately gets a 2-0 home victory. Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Next match, we have closing out Saturday. We have Sporting Kansas City versus the New England Revolution, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Looks like the matches end early on Saturday. Christian, what's going to happen here?
So Sporting Kansas City, I am predicting to win this match, even though they have won none of their last 3 games. I think they're still on a little hangover from the CONCACAF Champions League. They They're a little demoralized after their embarrassing exit in that competition, and I think they just need to find their feet. If there's one team in the East who you can play to maybe find your feet, this might be the team you want to play against. They are an absolute mess, and I think Vermees just gets it right, gets his team playing well again, and at home, they're going to have a comfortable win here, either 2-0 or 3-1. I'll go to 2-0 in this game.
Yeah, I think the SKC holds New England scoreless as well, but I think it's just a 1-goal victory. Now, SKC, you touched on the winless in 3 matches. They're conceding 2.3 goals per game in those 3 matches. Again, worrying sign for SKC. Now, they have a little bit of an injury crisis. What's that?
But they're playing the Revolution this time.
That's a good point. So Beasler's out. He'll be out for a few weeks. Espinoza's out. Hurtado, Lindsay, Wallace, Medranda, all out. But this team can cope. Vermees has a system. They're one of the deepest teams in MLS. And for that reason, I think they ultimately do get a victory. Kellen Rowe is going to need to step up big time for them. Now, the Revs got beat 3-0 at home midweek against an Impact side that basically arrived in the area like 3 hours before the match. And so not great from a Revs perspective. They're the lowest scoring team in the league, 0.7 goals per game. Midweek match, Agadello and Bunbury started, and they've been playing, but they're just not scoring, and they're not being effective. Over the weekend, the Revs got somewhat of a shock victory with over the Red Bulls, with Saicedo and Pania getting on the score sheet, one assisted to the other one scoring. Maybe they need to start. The Revs need to do something to shake things up and ultimately generate goals, but I don't think that happens here, and SKC gets a 1-0 victory. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Next match we have, moving to Sunday, April 28th, we have the Montreal Impact taking on the Chicago Fire. There you go. I can speak so good. 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's going to happen here?
I think that a lot of this game comes down to, does Piatti play? And if he does, it makes a big difference to Montreal. He is the key to unlocking pretty much any defense that Montreal comes up against, and he's a creator and he's a goal scorer. He really is one of the top players in the league, in my opinion, and probably doesn't have a huge supporting cast around him, and you see it really blatantly when he's not playing. So if he does play, I think that this is probably a 2-0 win for Montreal at home. But if he doesn't play, I could see this being either a 0-0 draw, honestly.
All right, fair enough. I'm predicting either way, it's a 2-0 victory for Montreal. Now, they had that midweek match with the horrible travel story that we just touched on, but they were able to rally, get a 3-0 home victory without Piatti and Taider. That's going to be confidence boosting for the players. They got back to their shutout after, sort of capitulating against the Union over the weekend in that 3-0 loss. They have 4 clean sheets in the last 5 matches. So clearly they have something figured out on the defensive side, and they're very, very tough to break down. Chicago also had a midweek match on the road, but they lost instead of won, and they weren't really able to break down a stout defensive side in New York City FC. Even with Chicago's attacking talent, I don't think they find a way to break Montreal down here. It's a bit worrying, as I think Montreal, again, is more organized than NYCFC. I said that word worrying again. I got to stop saying it. Second match of the season at home for Montreal, combined with that defensive organization, sees them get a 2-0 victory. Christian, anything else you want to add?
I want to try concerning in one of these videos.
Concerning? All right, I'll try to use that in the next one. Minnesota United, speaking of the next one, Minnesota United is taking on DC United. Do I have these? I can never tell if it's the right way because my screen is okay. Is 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's happening here?
This game is going to be interestingly close, although it shouldn't be. I think DC is a much, much better team than Minnesota, but just having that home match, DC travel just gets to teams in MLS. And I think DC, at the end of the day, I'm going to go DC does win this game, but it's going to be very, very close. I'm going to predict a 2-1 victory, and they're going to come from behind after Minnesota takes an early lead.
Love specific predictions. I'm actually in agreement with you on the 2-1 DC victory. After not being able to stop teams defensively, Minnesota got a big shutout at home, 0-0 against the LA Galaxy. Unfortunately, they weren't able to score, but I think it was good that they were able to finally hold, keep a clean sheet. Darwin Quintero continues to be their main creative hub. He leads the team in goals and assists. Lots of the attack flows through him. They're scoring more than 2 goals per match, but they're conceding almost 2 goals per match, and that's 21st in the league. That's a worrying sign, concerning sign for Minnesota United. DC, meanwhile, is top of the East. They won midweek in Columbus. Free kick goal from Wayne Rooney. He's probably one of the best in MLS at this point. They're not scoring a ton of goals, but they're third best in goals per game average from a defensive standpoint. And so for that reason, I think that they're able to get a 2-1 road victory. DC is, that is, and it's nice to see Chris Durkin getting some minutes in the middle of the park. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Next match, we have the Seattle Sounders taking on LAFC, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, probably the match of the weekend. Christian, what's going to happen here?
This is the big one, everybody. This is the one that
Everybody.
MLS, U.S. soccer, and all of the world is going to be watching this match. This is going to be a fun one. I think Seattle have too many injuries right now to be able to win this game, but they'll be able to keep it close. LAFC are the best team in MLS, and I'll say it every week until proven otherwise.
Yeah,
but
I don't think you will be proven otherwise.
But I think that they go on the road this week, and Seattle keeps it close, but LAFC do get the road victory here in a 2-1 game where I just think that they're going to be too strong in attack, and they're just going to be creating chances left and right. I think, again, like I said, Sounders maybe keep it close, but I could easily see this game getting out of control if they score early goals again.
Yeah, LAFC has proven that they can just demolish teams. Now, Seattle was thrown off midweek by San Jose's man marking system. They fought back for a 2-2 draw, but again, it was concerning that they drew against San Jose. They continue to not really look great in attack without Rui Diaz. I think he might be back for this match, and so that's going to play a huge role in Seattle's attack, but I think LAFC gets a road victory here. I'm in agreement. I'm going to say it's 3-2. It's high scoring in this one. Seattle will be motivated after getting beat last weekend by LAFC 4-1, but I just don't think it's enough for them. From the LAFC perspective, they did not have a midweek match, whereas Seattle is coming off a midweek match, and they're coming in well-rested, amazing form. They have the second highest goals scored per match and the lowest goals conceded. So they're scoring almost 2 goals more than they're conceding per match. They're beating teams by 2 goals on average. That's pretty damn good. So they're strong all over the pitch. They're deep. They have impact players off the bench. And so for that reason, I think they ultimately get a 3-2 road victory. And Carlos Vela's runaway MVP if he keeps this up. Anything else you want to add, Christian?
Nope.
Final match of the weekend. The other LA team, LA Galaxy, is hosting Real Salt Lake, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's going to happen here?
Ibra hat trick. This game ends 3-1. Ibra is going to just dominate this Real Salt Lake back line. No one on that team can come close. No one in MLS really can, but specifically in this game at home, LA are just going to showcase their talent. They are fighting for that top spot in the West as well. The 2 LA teams look like they may run away with it in the league, and the Galaxy, knowing that LAFC is going to Seattle in a tough game, know that they want to win this match and keep in that race. So I just think with Ibra up front leading the line, the supporting cast around him with Allison Drini, it's too good right now.
I still remain less than convinced by LA, the Galaxy. I mean, they're getting the results, and so maybe it's just they're not passing the eye test for me, but I have this actually ending up as a 2-2 draw. Now, LA Galaxy are second in the Supporters' Shield standings and had a fantastic start, and a lot of that's down to Zlatan being Zlatan and also a favorable schedule. RSL's not really having the best of starts, but the last few weeks they've started to turn things around. They're coming off a confidence-boosting 3-0 road victory in Cincinnati last week, and also they played last Friday, where the Galaxy have played twice since then. RSL is going to be a little bit more well-rested. They're going to be game planned very effectively, and for that reason, I'm ultimately saying they find a way to get a 2-2 draw. Christian, anything else you want to add?
No.
All right, so that is it. Thank you for watching the Quick Kick Picks presented by Bros Talking Soccer. Go enjoy MLS Match Week 9. Christian, anything you want to add in closing?
Get out there and watch some soccer. It's going to be a fun one.
There you go. All right, everyone, have a good week. We'll be back with another video soon. See ya.